Not in real life, don't betray me. But in the book, holla at me. You know what I'm saying? Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel, Loc'D. And today we're going to talk about some recommendations, author edition. Not their books. I may talk a little bit about their books, and give you one where I think you should start. But this is called Hot Girl Reads Recommendation. If you know, you know. And make sure you check out my video that I talked about the Hot Girl Reads and also the trademarking thing that came before this video. So let's talk about Hot Girl Reads recommendation. I want to make this a 3-part, but for sure it's going to be a 2-part because that's what I wrote down in my notes. I have enough information for 2 parts. But if you're like, Bree, do a 3rd part, I will definitely put some more authors together to show you. So I'm going to talk about these authors. They're going to all be women. And the reason why I'm having them all be women with different race, genders, and ethnicities is because Hot Girl Reads is for the community. It's for the community. And the community came together to tell Allie Coe, ho, is you cool? So that is why we're gonna include everybody in these recommendations. So these are not in any particular order because I think that would be really hard for me to do. So I'm going to talk about 10 in this video, and then you'll see me in the same outfit again, and then we're going to talk about the second half, right? So let's talk about the first half. Karin Slaughter, listen, Karin Slaughter is a thriller writer. She's a white woman. I think she's middle age, and she is a fan-fucking-tastic thriller writer, hands down. I love her work. I've read most of the books, and let me tell you, Karin Slaughter books are not books that you can go in thinking that you're going to have a great time. Yes, it's going to be good and cozy. No, it's death, and twisted death. Like, it's twisted ways in which people commit crimes. And she doesn't hold back, and she's not like, oh, let me hand it to you all smooth. No. She is ripping off band-aids left and right. I love Karin Slaughter. And the book that I would suggest that you read from her is Pretty Girls. Read the synopsis. Holla back at me. Make sure you got the mental fortitude before you go into it. But Pretty Girls is my favorite book of Karin Slaughter. The next hot girl we're going to talk about is Tananarive Due. Yes, come on. Y'all know what's up. Tananarive Due is also like Karin Slaughter. It's not holding your hand through the trauma, babe. Not holding your hand through the grief. Not holding your hand through the historical trauma is what I should have said. And I just really love how she tells a story. She really tells a story in a lengthy way, but it's like you need it. You need all of this information because it really adds to the story. It moves the story along, and it really like gut punches you and make you emotionally attached to the characters and the things that's happening to them in a very similar way to Karin Slaughter. So I love Tananarive Due, and my 2 recommendations to start with her would be The Good House or The Reformatory. But again, make sure you have that mental fortitude before you dive on in. Because I don't want you saying, Bree, I went into this and you didn't say nothing about the hard themes. The themes are hard. Harder than a 70-year-old who just took Viagra. You understand? Ready. Make sure you're prepared. Make sure you're ready. The next hot girl, I would say, is Lisa Maxwell. She is new to me, and I have been reading her series. What is it called? Her series, I don't think I know the name. I think it's called Last Magician. Yeah, I've been reading her series. This is book 3. And I really love it. So I think if you're looking for a story that has to do with time manipulation, characters who have different types of magic, and they're trying to either exploit magic into the world or prevent magic from being in the wrong hands, this is definitely the book for you. There's a lot of things going on. The character development is unmatched. Truly, truly. I love when an author writes books and you have an attachment to all of the characters, even though it's buku of them. It's buku of them hoes. I ain't gonna lie, it's buku of them hoes. But I love the way that she puts us into the story. I love the way she gives us a backstory on these characters and talks about how intertwined they are in each other's lives. And also the betrayal in this is top tier. I do love the betrayal in there, you know. Not in real life, don't betray me. But in the book, holla at me. You know what I'm saying? The next hot girl is N.K. Jemisin. N.K. Jemisin really kind of catapulted my reading because in 2017, just a little lore about Brie. In 2017, I went to Peace Corps in Ukraine. And while I was there, I had a lot of time like on my own. And I was like, maybe I should start reading. And that's when I found BookTube. But I was like, maybe I should just start reading. So I went online, asked a bunch of people about classics. I don't know why I did that looking back, but I was like, hey, is there any of your favorite classics? And I want to read 100 books this year. And I did. I think I read like 102 or 103. And everybody was white. I'm talking about 8 by 11. I'm talking, you understand? And I was just like, this is way too much for your girl. And one of my friends is a librarian. And he was like, hey, Bree, have you ever heard of N.K. Jemisin? I said, no. That is the first time I read a book with characters who look like me down to the hair type, down to the skin type. I said, wait a minute. They got authors out here writing like this? Yes. So that really like catapulted my journey into reading. And even though the first book I read from her is called The Fifth Season, my favorite books of her is The City We Became and the Inheritance series. The City We Became kind of feels like Octavia E. Butler, The Talent of the Sower, or The Talents. That duology, I'm forgetting the name, but it kind of feels like that. If you're like, wow, all of this is really applicable to what's happening in the US right now. So I really love The City We Became. And the Inheritance series was just a very like fantasy, science fiction blend of like these characters who have lived for millennia and these characters who are in like this air of royalty and trying to figure out things. And I'm like giving like a very brief synopsis of it, but I really love that series and also The City We Became. Definitely get into both of those. And then the next hot girl is Miss Kennedy Ryan. Yes, shout out to you, Kennedy. I had to reach for it. Kennedy Ryan, this is my favorite book by her. It's called Real. It follows the story of these two, like an actor and a director, and they both, had like hardship and things happen to them. And the director is like, look, I'm never going to date an actress again until he meet the main character. What's her name? Nevaeh. And just watching their love unfold and watching how the care in which he cares for her was just really touching. And this was like a beautiful love story. And y'all know I don't be reading romance, but this one was done really well. And I've read a few books by Kennedy Ryan. She really is that girl. She is the hot girl. So shout out to her. I definitely think you should read that book. Alexis Henderson, The Year of the Witching. Whoo! That was a very good gothic horror written by a Black woman. She did that. So I definitely think that you should read any book by Alexis Henderson. I'm having another video coming out talking about that later, but definitely get into Alexis Henderson. The next hot girl I briefly mentioned earlier is Octavia E. Butler. R.I.P. to a great one. R.I.P. to a great one. She is the first author that I remember the character's name because Justice for Anyanwu. Into the pits of hell to Doro. That's really how I feel. And if you're like, Brie, what are you talking about? I'm talking about her Patterness series, specifically the first book, Wild Seed. All of the books are good, Wild Seed, go ahead and read that. Go ahead and get into it. That is my recommendation for Octavia E. Butler. And then Zora Neale Hurston is one of like my favorite historians, and I often say that people need to give her credit for like historical Black linguistics as well, because her writing was so good. A lot of times growing up, people used to either ding me, and when I say people, like teachers and professors used to ding me in the way that I would write papers, because they would be like, hey, you cannot write how you talk. Zora Neale Hurston often wrote how she talked and other people talk. So I think she really preserved the way Black folks communicated with each other at that time, and I just really loved it. And my favorite book currently of Zora Neale Hurston is Mules and Men. I was cracking up and felt like I was watching my aunts and uncles have a conversation, and aunts and uncles who live like in the deep South. And then the last hot girl I'm going to talk about in this video is Carrie Greenwood. So Carrie Greenwood, RIP to her as well. And RIP to Zora Neale Hurston. Carrie Greenwood came on the scene for me a few years ago. There is this series called Miss Fernie, Miss Fisher or Miss Fernie, I can't remember, Murder Mysteries. But that is, I have her whole collection I found at the thrift store a few months, not a few months ago, maybe it's a year now. Yeah, I think it's close to a year now. But I love these books. Loved the show, and started reading the books when I went to Australia many years ago. And you guys, her pen game is so good. Like, it's just cozy mysteries. This white woman in the 20s who is like, you're not gonna stop me from living my life and being the hot girl that I am. Like, Miss Fernie is a hot girl. Like, there's no arguing with that. She really is. And she was like, I'm gonna use my smarts, I'm gonna use my wits to help people who are struggling. And I love how she used her money to help people. And I just really love that. When you have privilege, you got to help other people. You have to. And she was not a problematic white woman to me. Like, I haven't read all of the books yet, because she probably said some crazy shit. I just don't know about it yet. But currently, right now, today, she is a hot girl. So shout out to the Fernie Murder Mysteries as well. So these are some hot girls that I wanted to talk to you about. And let me know if you agree, if you read any from these authors, and I will see you in the next video. Have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.